today to talk to you guys about the hymn of the day for the fourth Sunday of Easter, which is also Good Shepherd Sunday. We're going to be reading that Good Shepherd text from John 10, verses 11 through 18. And our hymn of the day is a Good Shepherd hymn. It's called The King of Love, My Shepherd Is, and it's number 709 in the Lutheran Service Book. We're only singing 3 hymns in church this week, and 2 of those hymns are paraphrases of Psalm 23. Oh, and we're also reading Psalm 23. So you guys will get Psalm 23 3 times in the service. Actually, the other Psalm 23, how many more times am I going to say that in this video? The other Psalm 23 hymn is the one on the facing page, number 710, The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. And we talked about that one last time we did Good Shepherd Sunday in church. So there are many, many Psalm 23 hymns out there in the world. And this one has long been praised as one that is especially beautiful and poetic. It was written by Sir Henry Baker, who was an English clergyman who lived from 1821 to 1877. And Baker is often thought of in connection with hymnody. He wrote a number of texts in his lifetime, including this hymn of the day, but also one of our favorites from Christmas time, Angels We Have Heard on High. The King of Love, My Shepherd Is was first published in an 1868 appendix to the hymnal Hymns Ancient and Modern, which was edited by Baker. And it's different from many other Psalm 23 hymns in that it takes some poetic license, and this takes a definite step away from the sort of word for word, verse by verse versification that was popular or advocated for in the Anglican Church of the day when Baker was writing. Baker's version is more lovely, I suppose. Lovely, that's a good word. It's more lovely than other sort of stilted versions of the psalm that strive to keep that biblical text perfectly intact at the expense of any sort of poeticism at all. In 6 verses of our hymn that parallel the 6 verses of Psalm 23, Baker still keeps those Old Testament themes, the idea of Psalm 23, but he also brings in language that is clearly reflective of the New Testament teachings of Jesus. So let's look at some examples from our hymn. Verse 2 of our hymn, which is also verse 2 of Psalm 23, in the psalm it reads, He makes me lie down in green pastures, He leads me beside still waters. Baker fleshes that verse out a little bit. He speaks of Jesus leading our ransomed souls by streams of living water and feeding us with celestial food. And this makes us think, of course, of Jesus' ransoming work and the living water that is spoken of in both the Gospel of John and in the book of Revelation. But it also points us toward those sacraments, the waters of holy baptism and the food, the heavenly food of Holy Communion. Or how about verse 3? Our psalm says, He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. And our hymn uses that same idea, but instead brings in the New Testament passage from Luke 15, that picture of a shepherd who restores a lost sheep, who goes out and seeks and finds the lost sheep and brings it home on his shoulder. And how about verse 4? Let's go right down the line. Verse 4 of our psalm says, Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And for the most part, verse 4 in our hymnal sounds very similar. It says, In death's dark vale I fear no ill, with thee, dear Lord, beside me. Thy rod and staff my comfort still, but also thy cross before to guide me. So again, bringing in another one of those New Testament images, another implement that Jesus, the Good Shepherd, uses that leads us and comforts us in our life. And I could go on. There's 3 other verses we didn't talk about, but you guys are going to hear the rest of this hymn in church on Sunday, so I'll let you guys figure out how that New Testament language comes into it. And like I said, we're also going to be singing hymn 710, The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want, which is on that facing page. And this one is more of that word for word versification process. So I encourage you guys to compare the 2 of them. Maybe take your bulletin, which has them printed, take it home after the service and see how the different methods of bringing Psalm 23 into our sort of modern English language hymnody, how they compare. So both favorites, but definitely a little bit different. This one, 709, a little more poetic, a little smoother, and 710 maybe sacrifices some English language choices in favor of keeping the text more intact. But hey, both really good. I'm so glad we have both of them in our hymnal, and I'm glad we get to sing both of them in church this week. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you next time. Bye.